Hey everybody,
It's the Jerry and J. Rob Show.
it's the Jerry and J. Rob Show.
Cover it all. Whatever
Everything
you want to cover, we're going to cover.
Whatever you want to talk about.
Like some thick paint on a shag carpet.
That's pretty thick. That's covering some stuff.
Well, welcome. We're glad you're here. It is Easter Sunday today. Easter Sunday.
Resurrection Sunday.
I resurrected my Goonie shirt. I'm not dressed appropriately like the pastor here. And I think I'm just going to stay with it.
I don't think we have a dress code. I was going to throw a t-shirt on myself, but this was laying there, so I threw it back on.
It works. All right. Well, it is Sunday. Typically, we go do stuff on Saturdays. What did you do this Saturday?
Yesterday, I took my wife to Home Depot and bought some plants.
Ooh, how'd that go?
It went.
Yeah.
She's happy. That's what matters.
What more can
Plants
you do?
make her happy.
If you get nothing out of this episode at all, that's a life lesson right there.
There you go. Came back, cleaned up the front porch, and planted some plants, and yeah, wore myself out. But Mama's happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, that's good. So yesterday we went to Mayor's 4-H riding horse club thing stuff. And they ride horses and animals and whatnot. I don't have anything to do with it. It just cost me a lot of money. That's all.
You're just the finance man.
That's it. Just the financier of livestock. But anyway, that was pretty cool. It was a little dry and dusty and windy, but she did really good. It was cool to watch all the kids out there with their horses. There was some little girl, she's like this tall, riding a big old huge horse.
Yeah.
And just taking it to town, right? And just, I just kind of baffled me. I would not have that much confidence on a horse as this 4-year-old girl, or however old she was, 6, 5, I don't know. She was small.
So you know what's funny about that is we were in the living room earlier today, and I was holding my granddaughter.
Uh-huh.
And I looked over at my cat, who was laying there.
Mr. Bond.
Mr. Bond. I thought to myself, I bet she could ride Mr. Bond.
Ooh. Right here, I want to put a video of Mr. Bond.
People say I need to lose weight, but the only reason I'm chunky is because a tiny body couldn't store all this personality.
So Mr. Bond, he's a little bit on the portly side.
Yeah, he wasn't always that way.
Food is love?
Well, yeah. So, and it's not all of my fault. I do have to throw that out. I'm gonna throw my wife under the bus on this one because.
Right. Well, you bought her plants today. I mean, she can take a little ride with the bus.
Right. But she feeds him off her plate.
Ooh.
At night.
Yeah. And
she says it's the only time that he bonds with her. It's the only time they get together. So she'll sit down with her plate of dinner at night, and he just walks over there and sits with little sad kitty eyes. They're not puppy dog eyes.
They're kitty eyes.
Yeah. Until she throws him a little chunk of chicken or something like that.
Oh, man. Buying love.
Last time we went to the vet, he was 21 pounds, down from 23.
Is that a lot? That's a that's a lot. So you got your little furry bowling ball, right?
Yeah.
Rolls around, got little sausage legs sticking out. Okay.
It's funny because he'll walk out in the living room and just collapse. Like the journey from the back bedroom to the living room was amazingly too much for him.
Too much work
to do, yeah.
Too much work.
But he gets up with me every morning when my alarm clock goes off, and he's a real good friend, I guess.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's That's good.
But I thought you were talking about the little girl around a big horse. And,
Yeah. I mean,
I looked at him and I looked at my granddaughter and I was like, I wonder if she could ride Mr. Bond.
Could make it happen. At this point, he's probably at the point of breaking in half, so we might want to take it easy on him.
He's a little sway back.
I want to take it easy. All right. Well, very good. So I got you some Starbucks coffee today.
Starbucks coffee today. Well, last episode you had mentioned something about a sponsor coffee.
Yes, but I'm not going to say anything until they give me the coffee.
Right.
So I've got some shirts and some good stuff. We don't do
nothing for free around here.
There's nothing for free. You have to provide the beans if you want the plug.
There you go.
Beans for plug. That's all there is to it. And by the way, that goes for hot sauce. If you've got some good hot sauce, I'll be happy to put it on our show here. Maybe give a couple of dabs.
Oh, I can't wait.
It's going to be.
A little bit.
It's been a little bit. You know, we did this
sauce,
for what, a year and a half, 2 years. Hot Sauce Thursdays. That was pretty fun. Just being silly and whatnot. But I have like 300 bottles of hot sauce from it, and you can't have too much.
I've never been interested in hot sauce my whole life. I didn't eat hot sauce until I met you.
I inspire.
And you turned me on to some garlic scorpion.
And perspire.
Yeah.
Very good.
Now it goes on just about everything at the house.
Right. Anyway, I want to talk about coffee for a minute.
Coffee.
So we've got our coffee company du jour that's going to be showing up eventually. I'm going to keep riding them, giving them a hard time until they bring me a couple bags of coffee. But today it's Easter, so everybody else is closed right now except for Starbucks. And Starbucks. Look, I'm not knocking Starbucks. If you work there, I'm sorry. I know this is only our third episode, and I'm not trying to dissuade people from liking us. And all of you people that work there, you're excellent. You're really nice people. But I've got to say, it is the goofiest thing ever for me to go into a drive-thru with friends, family, whoever, and order I don't know. It's like another language, just a made up language, marketing language of what was that word? Trenta. What is a Trenta? You know what? I do it on purpose now. So when I go through the drive-thru, I say, give me a small, or give me a big one, or give me a even bigger than that one. I'm not gonna say those words. I'm not gonna do it. But we got a couple of Americanos.
You got to fight
today.
back where you can. Right?
I'm telling you, I'm not going to do it. I feel a little bit dumber every time I drive through, and a little bit less of a person. I'm going to order it the way I
would have thought it was that other fruity drink you were drinking earlier before the show that might have done that to you. But
there comes that bus again. Okay, all right. It's going to be your turn here in a little bit. Don't worry about it.
I'm preparing myself.
So this is our third episode. We are working on our little studio thing here. We've tried to improve some things, some videos, some lights.
This is turning out to be an amazing setup you got here.
Yeah, we've put some effort, time, and some funds into it. Hopefully that's not all for naught. We are trying to clean some things up. We are experimenting with some different video camera stuff, and we've had our whole Indiana Jones entrance to our show, which
I like.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, But
so J-Rob said earlier he wants to change that up because it's too Indiana Jones. Like he doesn't want y'all to feel like we're going to come busting through a door or anything. But I like it, and so I think we ought to keep at least some of it. Like. Yeah, it's Indiana Jones, but we're going to bust in and then give you some positivity and some encouragement.
We got to talk like a wrestler, being more angry. Some Randy Savage or something. Right. We're here to be positive today. Feel our music.
Let me tell you something, brother.
That's pretty good. I didn't know you could do that.
Now I need some entrance music.
You need some entrance. Okay. Anyway, so thank you for making it this far with us. We do everything kind of off the cuff on this. I'm sure you haven't noticed. But something that we have not done is edit anything. We don't edit anything out. So like last week when I made up a word just out of nowhere. It's still in there. You can go in there and hear it.
Yeah, you're getting the raw version.
This is it.
Of
There's
Jerry and J. Rob.
Nothing cleaned up, nothing changed. It is just what we got on top of our brains today, and that's it. And hopefully it will be something of value to you. And if it's not, that's okay. We'll work harder next week. So,
I will have to say, when we first started, that you said, well, what are we going to talk about? And my mind went blank.
yeah.
Like, I'm sure we'll talk about something, but I don't know. But now that we've got a few of these under our belt, like, I spend the week thinking about, all right, what are we going to talk about on the show this week? And, how can we instill some positivity in people's lives, try to be an encouragement, a help, give some wisdom where we can, and do our best to reach out to you fine folks and help you out.
Sounds good.
It's awesome.
Yep. Same here. So I've got a lot of stuff that comes up during the week to me as well. I've gotten to where I got to run around with a, booklet or something and a pen to write things down.
Take
because
some notes.
I'm old and I forget it as soon as I think of it. But I got to hang on to it. So we don't really work off notes even in here, even though I've got one today. But we wanted to cover the valley, what the valley means. So it is Easter. We had a great service this morning, by the way. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
But we wanted to talk about when you're in the valley. So when you are in a situation, things are going good, things are awesome, and this is predominantly true for a Christian, right? We know that valley's coming. We know that hard time's coming, that problematic, whatever it is. We're not on top of the mountains all the time. And it really doesn't matter who you are. Nobody's on top of the mountains all the time. You get difficulties that come up in life, things that just get to you. Maybe the boss jumps on you at the work. Maybe it's a car wreck. Maybe it's something more serious like a disease or something terminal, something along those lines. But we want to talk about just how long we stay in that valley, because part of our positive thinking and our mindset, things that we want to, portray and put out there and be a part of, you can't get to that stuff if you're stuck sulking in the valley. And that has two meanings. So you have the valley of your problem, whatever it is, your legitimate problem, and then you have the valley of your mental problem, where you think you are, how you feel, how you're kind of on your own there, and how you want to improve to get out of that so you can start functioning to get back to where you want to be.
And a lot of times, that it's the mental state of it all. I mean, not to say that the situation is not difficult, but sometimes even after the situation resolves itself, or at least I tend to find that my mindset takes a little longer to shift gears and get back into that uphill mindset of growth and getting where I need to be, doing what I need to do.
So what are some things that you, Jerry, does to try to speed that along or to get back out of that mental block?
Well, one thing that really helps me personally is knowing my relationship with the Lord, that He is working all the time, He's moving all the time, He's with me, He hasn't forgotten about me. And so when I find myself in situations that are difficult, situations that are challenging, things that are hard to deal with, those valleys that we talk about, dark times when we really don't know which way to go or what's going to happen, I always fall back on the fact that I know God has me, and that He's going to work it out. It may not be worked out in my timetable. It may not be worked out in the way that I think it should be worked out, but I know that it is going to eventually come to some type of a fruit in my life. Whatever that manifests itself, I may not always know, but just having that relationship with God to know that, He's got my back.
Well, I think you kind of hit it right there. The function of us worrying about stuff, that's a carnal thing, right? That's your brain telling you that you should be fearful of this circumstance and you should act in
Right.
some way or another, or it's making you uncomfortable because it's trying to keep you in survival mode there for whatever that situation
Yeah,
is.
fight or flight
Right,
kind of a
right.
mindset. Yeah.
So starting to work on that, starting to shorten that time period, takes practice. It's not something that you just learn to do, overnight. It's a way that you've acclimated. We're born with it intrinsically, but we also may have manifested it through our life and our circumstances and whatnot. So it takes some relearning, rehabilitation with yourself to move out of that spot.
Right.
You can't just sit there and think it's going to change on its own, right? You've got to put in some things in place, just like you were mentioning, to fall back on to help you to move out of that zone.
Well, and I think an important thing that you have to come to is that's very important is just a realization of where you're at. So being able to evaluate yourself in those times and get kind of a clearer picture of yourself. What I mean, all right, you sit back and you go, okay, I know that this is going on. I know that I'm struggling with this. Okay, where am I at mentally? Where am I at spiritually? And you don't know how to go a different direction until you realize where you're at.
Right.
Well, once you realize where you're at, then you can come up with a plan to move forward, to move out of those valleys, to learn whatever lesson it was that you needed to learn in those times, take whatever value you can out of the things that happen, and then move forward.
Right. Right. There's no value in worry. There's no value
No,
in
not at all.
in hanging out in that spot. If you're trying to get out of that mental part of it, the scenario is whatever the scenario is. Most of the time, there's not a whole lot we can do about it, or it's
It is
occurred.
what it is.
We've got time to work on it, whatever that situation may be. But the mental part of it is we got to try to stop worrying about it. It provides no value whatsoever to worry about anything. It's the anxiety of it that just hangs on, and then it causes us to act poorly, be poorly, do a poor job while we're in that valley. So when we're talking about trying to get out of there, that determines your speed, your velocity at moving back up the mountain towards whatever you're trying to accomplish, whether it's work, whether it's a business, stuff around the church. It really doesn't matter what it is. The shorter you can make that time in the valley, the faster you're going to exponentially get yourself back up the mountain. Well, and while we're talking about that, what is maybe something that has grabbed you where you got hung in there for a while?
I want to be real and be honest with our viewers. And, just because I'm a Christian and just because I'm a pastor doesn't mean that I don't struggle sometimes mentally.
What, you mean you're a man?
Yeah,
Still?
I am human.
Wow.
And so there have been some times when, I touched on it a moment ago, the situation resolves itself, but my mental state is still lacking.
Right.
But one thing that I do struggle with is just that negative self-image, negative self-talk that can really cripple me if I let it sometimes.
Right.
Which I know that I'm not the only one that deals with that. But that's one of those things that, in my life I have struggled with that gets me stuck. And I know it's not productive. And listen, I even know it's not true. But it's hard to move from where you're at sometimes to where you need to be if you get bogged down with those types of things.
Right. I think that's really important that you acknowledge that it's not true. There's a lot of folks that think it is true, even when it's not.
Right.
And so if you've made it to that point, you've done something. You've made improvement for sure. Well, I've experienced that just like anybody else has. We've had a ton of issue in our life, and we'll go into that in another episode with sickness and things of that nature, and we'll talk about that later on. But I can think of a few things that have occurred at work that have occurred in some of my businesses and whatnot. And usually it revolves around something that was messed up, something that caused a financial loss, or something that delayed something significantly, and that can really get you in a bind. I mean, there's a lot of people right now finishing up their taxes and looking at their tax bill and desperately trying to figure out how they're going to pay for that stuff right now. That's something that can really keep you down. But in verse of that, get out there, do what you need to do, hustle, do your job,
Right.
go make that extra dollar where you got to make it, and get that stuff paid off. But there's nothing that's going to be accomplished out of the worry.
Yeah. So I had a boss tell me this one time, and he wasn't telling me necessarily, but he was teaching me an idea. And he said, sometimes you just have to take your assignment and go to work.
Yep.
And what that meant to me was, a lot of people don't want to take their assignment. They don't want to work on it. They want to avoid it. They want to excuse it. They want to moan and cry about it.
Mm-hmm.
And none of those things is helpful.
Right.
And, and that doesn't mean that you can't, assess and try to find a better way to get the assignment done. But sometimes it really does come down to, okay, this is the assignment. This is what we're going through right now.
Right.
This is the valley. And it's what we've been dealt. It's what God has allowed or caused in our life. And, if it was God's idea, then it's what's best for us. That's hard to accept sometimes.
Right.
The Bible says to be thankful in all things.
It's hard to do.
Man, is it ever?
It's hard.
It's hard to be thankful when
yeah.
you're sick. It's hard to be
Right.
thankful when you're, struggling financially. It's hard
Right.
to be thankful when you lose a loved one.
Right.
And not to say that you shouldn't mourn or any of those things when you go through those times, but at the same time, we do have to keep it in our head that that's life.
It is.
Everybody goes through it, and but we can't get bogged down in those things.
That's absolutely correct. Now, you talked about disease and somebody that's got a terminal disease or they've lost everything, they're bankrupt, and or lost a loved one, or whatever the situation is. That take the time to think about that there's something. I look at it this way. Hopefully, something good that's going to come from it. I think there's other stuff always working in the backgrounds that we never know about, may never be privy to, but there are things happening that's out of our control in our thought process that are positive, and something came out of that, a blessing came out of that. So that's exactly what I think about, especially in the valley. And for me personally, I don't mind being in the valley so much if it's not my direct doing. It's funny because I feel like I have the grace to get through it, whatever that problem is. But when I mess up, when I do something I'm not supposed to do, and I'm in the valley, that's when it's uncomfortable. That's when
Right.
it's hard to get by on it. And I don't think that's by accident that God set it up that way. So, well, very good, very good. What else you want to add to that?
I would say that just as a not necessarily a coping mechanism, but something that I have done that has helped me get through those times is, and maybe this will help some of our viewers, sometimes when you're going through those times, we get bogged down by the what ifs,
Mm-hmm.
and we worry about the what could be's.
Right.
And a mental exercise that I do in my own life is when I get to those times, I eliminate the things that I have no control over, and then take the things that I do have control over and say, all right, now what can I improve on in these areas?
Right.
But I also, to keep me from playing the what ifs game, I have to dial things back to, okay, I'm not going to worry about next week or tomorrow. Sometimes I've had to been in such a situation where I've had to dial it back to, okay, I'm not even going to think about the next hour. Right now, I'm fed, I'm clothed, I'm housed. In times when we thought we were going to lose the house.
Right.
Well, if we don't get this done in the next week, blah, blah, blah. Well, but today, right now, we're okay.
Right.
So, well, we don't have enough groceries to make, okay, but right now, we have enough to make supper. And tomorrow will take care of the things of itself. Now, having said that, also I'm doing everything that I can to work on the things I can work on.
Right.
And those things that I can't have any control over, maybe they're things that are happening that I didn't cause or can't fix, then I give those things to the Lord and say, all right, God, you worry about it. I'm not going to worry. I'm not going to worry about it.
Right.
And God doesn't worry. So there you have it.
That's it. That pretty much sums it up right there. And the only other thing I'd like to add to that is kind of what we've been saying in these other first couple of episodes is we talk about excuses, we talk about friends and circles and the people that are around you. And I know, especially between you and I know when you got something going wrong. I can always see it.
Right.
And I'll ask you about it and we'll talk about it, and vice versa. You've come to me 2 or 3 times, hey, what's going on? Having somebody like that in your life is important. It's also important because you can bounce stuff off of them and talk to them about certain things that are going on and expect an honest answer and not just a make you feel good answer.
Yeah.
And that's what true accountability is.
Right. And so I was thinking about that as you were talking about it, is because you'll ask me sometimes, hey, what's going on? Nothing. And you'll call me on it. Right. Be like, okay, are you ready to quit lying and tell me what's going on? and it's only because you care.
Absolutely.
Which I appreciate.
Yeah. I'm going to say it again. I've been saying absolutely a lot. I'm trying not to say that so much. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
This is why I can't watch myself, because I know I say things backwards and put in a lot of ums and uhs.
There's some ums in there. That's all right.
That's okay.
Let's get out of that valley.
We're not perfect. Well, I'm not perfect.
Well, you've got a tie on. All right. Well, very good. So appreciate you guys sticking with us this far, and we'll have another episode coming up. In fact, we might do an extra one today and just do a second one.
Just have it.
Just have it ready to go and push it out.
That'd be
So
great.
happy Easter to you. We appreciate all of you that are liking and subscribing and all of that good stuff.
Yes.
We would continue to appreciate that support. And I think that's it. All right.
So you said you had mentioned earlier today that you would let everybody know where we're at on social media and
That's correct.
how to contact us
So
that we can
pray
for you or help you in some way.
Right. So at the very end of the video here is a Gmail email account for us, and you can send us stuff there. You can also tell us stuff in the comments. And today, I think we're going to add the church info on there and the Facebook info on there, so that you guys can reach out, whatever's easiest for you, whatever social platform works best for you. And we should be on some additional social platforms next week. So I think that's all I got.
And if we are helping you in some way, maybe encouraging you a little bit, and or you just think we look funny and you like watching us, whatever, share this with some friends, some family, coworkers, somebody that you think could benefit from it. That's what we want to do. We want to reach as many people as we possibly can, try to help as many people as we possibly can, but we're going to need your help to do that.
Right.
So help us out, if you will.
A little bit of positivity and in a negative world. So you guys have a great Easter. It's been great for us. We'll catch you on the next one.
Have a good one.